Imagine travelling 3.5 hours by coach to get to somewhere, and then waking up at 5:05 in the morning just to see a sunrise and have there be no sunrise. See, that is the disappointing morning I've started with. It's not just me. That chick down there has also travelled to see the sunrise and got nothing. I don't know what it is with me and sunrises, but I just seem to be really, really unlucky. I haven't got a good sunrise in months. Well, the other side of the bridge is quite nice as well, so I'm going to take photos of that as well. If the quality is really bad, it's because my Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge that I've had for 4 years, 5 years, something like that, finally gave up the ghost after being smashed around and dropped over and over again, and is now completely dead. I've spent most of today trying to track down a phone shop so that I could buy a brand new phone, but the cheapest one they had in this very, very small town was about 3 times the price that it should be in the city. But you do what you have to, and we're here finally to see the temple. Just about to board a boat and go and have a look. The lake we're on now is called Khao and is a reservoir formed when a dam was constructed nearby in 2001. When this area was filled with water, it flooded some of the small communities. Some of those buildings that were here are permanently underwater now, but as the water level fluctuates up and down throughout the year, some of those old buildings are exposed again. Today we're on our way to visit some of the old temples that have been affected by the rising water levels. The first one we'll see is known simply as the Underwater Temple. Usually only the very top is visible above the water. Today we're lucky enough to see it fully above the waterline. Walking inside, you notice straight away that barely anything is left. The building itself is just a shell of crumbling concrete. The tile floor is gone, the plaster that would have been decorated with colourful murals has been washed away, and the roof has collapsed. The result of 20 years underwater is starkly evident. As you can see from all the decorations that have been left on the altar at the head of the temple, when the water level's low enough, the local people here still use this building as a place of worship. Outside the temple you can see the remains of other parts of the structure that didn't last as well underwater. The trees you see sticking out of the water are all that remain of the forest that was once here. We're now at our second site, which is ruins of 3 structures that usually sit underwater. These buildings were once part of a small temple complex and are in similar condition to the first temple we saw. Local volunteers are working to restore these buildings back to their former glory, but I'm not sure why, if the reservoir will continue to fill up and see them underwater again. We're back on the water again and making our way to the final site on this boat tour. Looking out from the tree line, it's easy to see how low the water is in the reservoir at the moment. Short walk through the trees, then it's up to the top of some washed out steps and we catch a glimpse of another small temple which is in ruins. Outside the entrance you can see that previous visitors have piled up pieces of crumbling temple into these cairns. Despite being high above the current water level, this temple is still displaying damage from the reservoir. The floor is cracked, broken and wet. The roof has collapsed and has been replaced by this plastic tarpaulin which is leaking and has collected some rainwater in part of the sheet that's likely to burst. At the base of the wall you can see how damp the concrete still is, with the high water mark still visible. The interior of this small temple is dominated by a large gold Buddha that sits with its back to the water. Much like the underwater temple, local people still use this building as a place of worship. The Buddha is decorated and candles and incense sticks burn from the prayer offerings earlier in the day. Roots go through the temple windows and around the base of the walls. It's as though nature is trying to claim back the space for the rainforest. Now it's time to head back where we started, the bamboo jetty underneath the Mon Bridge. Now we're back on dry land under the Mon Bridge. This huge wooden bridge was built in 1986 to connect the two villages either side of the river. The Mon Bridge is the longest wooden bridge in Thailand and is the second longest wooden bridge in the world. From on top you can get great views of the surrounding area.
Well, it seems as soon as you get from one side to the other of the Mon Bridge, step right into a market. Hey, how you doing?
After exploring the small tourist market, that's it for today. Now I take another bridge back to my accommodation.
This bridge is called the Red Bridge, but I can't figure out why.